Welcome to Crown and Connections Teal Talk. This is Rob Clemens. I'm at CCU, specifically at the Singleton building today, and we are super excited. We got a great guest lined up. We have my co-hosts, Danielle and Kobe, of course. So you guys, you're going to get your little, your part to tell us about what's happening in the world, guys. So I'm excited. We have Mayor Blain-Bellamy with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And please call me Barbara.
Okay, Barbara. Wow, we're going to get informal today. We're going to break down the walls, and we're just going to talk some real talk, right?
Absolutely.
Guys, before we get started with the mayor, and I'm super pumped to have you on today, and so much knowledge coming from you. But before we get started, we're going to do, as we always do, a little preliminary talk with Danielle and Kobe. So Danielle, we're going to get started with you today. What's happening in the world?
Awesome. So it's such an honor to finally meet you. We heard about you a little bit when we were doing Leadership Grand Strand and everything, and when we were going through our Bach Award, when we were trying to choose somebody and everything, and we had, our team had actually thought about you, and we're not realizing that you had won already, and that's how we noticed that, and we were like, oh my gosh, of course she's won already.
Now, let me ask you, can there be a two-time winner? Is that possible?
I don't think
so.
I think that breaks the rules.
It might break the rules, but occasionally somebody is so special.
Award,
yeah, you're right.
There you go.
They should allow that on special
Super special occasions.
For
In
sure.
fact, I'm making a motion right now, all in favor. No, I'm just kidding. All right. But anyway, okay, back to
Diana's going to be calling us.
Yeah, we were going through the list, and your name stood out just for all of the amazing things that you've done in the community, and it just, it wasn't surprising that you had already won. We were like, of course, but yeah, it was great learning a little bit about you through Leadership Grand Strand, and it's such a pleasure to have met you today.
Thank you so much. Part of the joy of having won that award is that I knew Ann DeBach personally.
Wow.
Yeah, she was, when I was a part of Leadership Grand Strand, which was decades ago, honestly, she was a very important part of everything that happened there. Mm-hmm. And the caliber of woman that she was just spoke really highly of the person who wears her name through that award. So I was so grateful and so humbled by it.
Well, it's really cool, too, because both of these two relatively recently graduated. Is that the way we put it?
Yep.
Through.
Yeah,
and
got hanging on my wall in my office.
no, that's awesome.
Mine's at my home office.
At your home, of course. But it's such a great program, and I saw how hard Danielle worked with that last year, just from the community aspect and just giving back the time. I think to even be on it, to be nominated to be on it is a great honor. But then just watching how she just went through, and week after week, the amount that you're giving back to the community, so cool. Mm-hmm. And secretly, I've been super jealous of Danielle that she did this, and one day I'm going to have to do that. Just because, right?
You gotta do it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Well, thank you.
Actually, I know Conway does a leadership
Yes,
program as
Chamber
well
does.
that I've been really interested in looking into too. So
yeah, nice. There you go.
Just heads up.
One upper right there, always. Yeah, that's super cool. All right.
Yeah, so just an honor to be able to speak with you and learn a little bit more about you and stuff today. And then also, I got to give a shout out. We were pulling up here today, and I'm pretty sure I saw Grace and McCall walking down the sidewalk. So I feel like it's going to be a good week.
No, it could have well been Grayson, but Grayson's getting pretty popular. Could have been a Grayson impersonator.
It might have been.
He's about getting that level right now.
Yeah. It's like a stunt double in case people hoard around him for signatures.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I believe it was him.
Well, full disclosure, we do want Grayson to come on the show. So next time you see him, you just got to reach out your head out. Yeah, hey, Grayson. Yeah, awesome.
I was way too nervous.
Way too nervous. Starstruck.
Fran was like, do it. And I was
Yes.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, you guys. All right. Well, thank you, Danielle. Good stuff. And Kobe, what's happening? Happenings with Kobe.
Happenings with Kobe. It is an honor to have the mayor on the show right now. I mean, you're awesome. I've always been a big fan of you. And fantastic leader in the community. Leadership Grand Strand. Welcome American Leadership Forum. You're mayor of 2 cities. Halloween. We just ended the Halloween season, and Conway, South Carolina. legend, a great attorney. I mean, it's so great to have you on.
Yeah. And by the way, let's not go past that too fast. Did you just say mayor of 2 cities?
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah, Halloween, South Carolina, and Conway.
Wow, man, that is something else.
I'm afraid that ended a couple of days ago.
Yep.
Well, you know,
coolest thing ever. It's
right,
cool to have on the
okay.
resume. Yeah,
Right. I'll make sure I add that code.
But it's just really cool to have you on, and I've always just been a really big fan of Conway. I grew up, I'm from Loris, but I mean, I went to Conway all the time with my mom growing up, and love the town, and I love how it embraces Coastal Carolina University. I mean, Teal Nation is very well represented in the Conway community, and I just absolutely love it. There's pictures of downtown Conway, the Wall College, and I just love it. Paintings, it's just cool stuff, man. I'm just so excited to have you here. So I have to talk about the coastal in general instead of the Wall College here because we got the mayor on. But yeah,
absolutely.
It's awesome.
Well, you can talk. You're talking about Conway. You're talking about CCU. Talking about everything that goes together. So that's awesome.
It's great. And but to put a little bit of information about the recent happenings with Wall Colleges, specifically, the Grant Center just had our advisory board meeting for the semester, and we got some great programming coming up for the students. A lot of internships coming up for them for the real estate students, and got our economic growth and real estate summit coming up in the spring.
Very nice.
So more information about that, but I had to put a little plug in for that.
Can you not disclose more information about guest speakers?
Yeah,
I'll
actually.
Okay,
I'll give you guys a little sneak peek.
Okay.
March 24th at the Dunes Club. Let's just put it out there.
Put it out there, bud.
And so it's going to be from 7:30 until noon, and it's we're going to have the main part of the show is going to be a panel with Coach Joe Moglia, President Benson, and Michael King of King One Properties International. He was on our show first right out the gate, and then Dr. Salvino, and they're going to talk about the Grand Strand economy from a historical perspective, but also looking to the future. I'm really excited about that. I love this community. I love the history, so it's going to be a lot of fun to have that have those guys up there, and then we're going to have a real estate awards and Hall of Fame ceremony too. So it's going to be a good time, and so stay tuned for more information about that, y'all. But I just had to put that out there. It's gonna be great. It's going to be exciting stuff.
Well, no, I love that. And by the way, well done on getting that panel. Yeah, that's quite the group.
I was
right
impressed with that. I was like, I didn't know we were going to be able to pull that off, but we did.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, very, very cool. As far as the students go, you mentioned the real estate program and things. What is there anything special coming up in the real estate program or anything?
So I'm going to also manifest this into existence. Real estate development major. We're still talking about it, but we're working on that. It's hopefully we'll get some movement on it and be ready for students in fall 2023. I can't believe we're already saying that right now. So that's going to be really exciting for the local community and get some students to stay here in Horry County because we have a really good minor for the undergraduate students and a concentration for the graduate students, and we'll want them to stay here in Conway and the Grand Strand, Waccamaw region, because
for sure,
the program that I was talking about, Waccamaw American Leadership Forum, focuses on the Waccamaw region, so get them to stay here and invest in their talents in our community. So
very cool.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think it's been a long-standing initiative, and I'm sure the mayor's seen this over the years, is that we want to keep CCU students, we want to keep our talent here
100%,
in the area.
Right there,
Well, absolutely. And so all the things that the Myrtle Beach Regional Economic Development Corporation have been doing and our local government has been doing to try to keep industry here and bring industry here so we can keep our students.
Development, 100%.
Absolutely. So, and I love that. And I think it's really important that you guys started this real estate program at Coastal Carolina because there's still a lot of development left to do. We talked about west of 31, all the opportunity over there with land.
Loris, man. There's a ton of going on in Loris right now. Not to my own horn, but there's a lot going on in Loris right now,
Absolutely. Hey, look, I mean, we have to talk about these things, it's a bright place
100%.
to be.
100%. I mean, all over the real estate industry and the construction industry, over at Tech, that's an important part of our community, or Georgetown Technical College. So it's all great stuff, and I'm excited about this energy that we have in the community and all the great people we have. It's all good stuff. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
I don't know how accurate this is because I heard it on Selling Orange County. But
Selling Orange County.
Yeah, it's like a show on Netflix.
Okay.
Apparently, apparently real estate is one of the happiest careers.
One of the happiest careers. Okay.
Okay. I mean, I haven't met a negative
Don't judge
realtor.
me for my taste in awful
I
television.
was going to say, I'm already judging. It's already no. When you say one of the top career, we talking top 100 or top 10?
Yeah.
Like because that makes a difference.
Briefly
Okay.
It just sounds good when we say
Right?
top, you know.
We're gonna have to do some
top something.
Okay, gotcha. I could say, hey, look, if you're good at, I mean, if you ask Michael King, I'm sure he would say it's one of the happiest careers to be in, right?
I mean, he's one of the he's a great guy, you know. So I mean, positive guy. So maybe that.
Yeah,
you're right,
very good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, good stuff with
Absolutely.
Happenings with Kobe. We appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm going to turn my attention to what everybody really wants to hear. No offense, guys. No, I'm sorry. Absolutely. And we have Mayor Blain-Bellamy, who told me I can call her Barbara. So thank you for that. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you. I think a lot of us know you. You're kind of legendary around here. But for those of us who haven't gotten to know you that well, or those that are listening, kind of take us through. How did you get here? And I know it's been a journey, but take us from the beginning and let's go.
Well, feel free to stop me at any time.
Oh, no chance.
So I was born in Conway. I was an Air Force brat, so I've lived in other places.
Hey,
I've lived in,
by the way, let me stop you there. Me too.
Yeah,
All right. I love it. Yeah.
Common,
Yes, we do. I love the Air Force. Anytime you're an Air Force
me
kid.
too,
Yeah, my dad was a chaplain, so I got you.
Right. Oh, that's where you get that from.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I never went outside of the United States, but I've lived in California and Nevada and Arizona during my formative years. I've been pretty much settled here since I was about 12.
Wow.
But I graduated from Whittemore High School in Conway, South Carolina. It no longer exists. It was a segregated school. I graduated in the last class of a segregated high school.
Wow.
From there, I came to Coastal Carolina College, which was a branch of the University of South Carolina. For a lot of reasons, it was the best thing that could ever happen to me.
Yeah.
I fear that because of the lack of funds and that I wouldn't have been able, or I may have just decided that it was close to impossible for me to go away to school. And there was a campus right here. There were 3 buildings: Singleton Building, Kearns Hall, and what is now Admissions, I believe. That was the student center.
Okay.
And they broke ground for the building on the other side. I forget. I think it was a gymnasium.
Okay.
While I was, about the time I was leaving. So Coastal Carolina at that time had about 500 students.
Wow.
And we had as many of our classes out on the grounds as we did inside because our weather is so perfect for that. But a really good experience all around. Learned a lot, made a lot of good friends, and went to the university when I was a junior. Now, the deal was Coastal Carolina was supposed to have been a 2-year college. And the longer I stayed here, the more courses they added. And I really could have probably stayed another year. But I lied to my parents. I just so needed to get away from home. I just needed to spread my wings a little bit. So,
I think we can all relate with that. Yeah.
So that was good. So at the University of South Carolina, I majored in sociology. I'd been told that as a girl that my only choices in a career would be to be a nurse or to be a teacher. And I was bound and determined to be neither. However, I missed my calling. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So I had a 25-year career in social work. In the midst of it, one of the jobs that I had was here at Coastal Carolina. I directed the Area Agency on Aging. And Coastal Carolina was a financial umbrella for that agency. So my office was in Kearns Hall. I was right back here.
Wow.
I also worked here in HR for a few years. 20 years exactly to the day from my undergrad graduation, I got a master's degree.
Wow. That's so cool.
In education here. I was sitting in my office and just peering out of the window and noticing that everybody around me was growing, and I was the exception. And I thought it was time for me to grow some, too, so I signed up for some classes. And fortunately, there was a constituent from Coastal Carolina, from Horry Georgetown Tech, and the professors from USC actually came to us. I believe I made one trip to Columbia to take an exam. But at any rate, 20 years later, I got a master's degree. About 1992, I had ended an 18-year marriage. It was pretty traumatic. It was, even though I was the person who ended it, it needed to be. Still, it changes your life in huge ways. I found myself not to have children, not to have a husband, not to have any purpose. I just saw myself as needing to find some definition. And moved back into the city limits and read in the newspaper that there were 3 seats open for Conway City Council.
Okay.
Well, thinking about that, I considered that if there had been 1 seat, I would not have tried, but there were 3. And I thought there was just enough chance that I might be able to be successful, so I ran for city council.
Yeah.
And actually led the ticket.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
my gosh.
cool.
So that has to do with my dad. People who didn't know me voted for me because he had such a great reputation. After the military, he had been the first black Horry County policeman.
Wow.
And apparently, even with that tough work, had treated people well and had a really good reputation. And when I knocked on doors, people would invariably ask me, "Who are you?" They didn't ask about a platform or a political position, or they simply wanted to know who I was. When I told them at the age of 40 that I was Joe Blain's oldest girl, I knew how I needed to present myself.
Yeah.
The answer always was, well, if Joe Blain raised you, I'll vote for you.
Wow,
Just
that is such a testament to your father. I mean, to have that kind of thought about him.
And what it says to all of us is that we are paving the way in small ways sometimes, but for our children. We set up a reputation for them that can be positive or can be negative. I was elected and served a first 4-year term. I was reelected in 1996, it would have been, and I served 2 years. I told you about me working in social work back and forth, but a total of 25 years. I was in court one day and just was alarmed, just put off by the position that a couple was in, just an older couple in a family court setting, needing some relief, not being able to afford an attorney, so they were pro se. And I got really upset with some of the things that happened in that room that day, and I walked out of it and said that somebody like me needs to go to law school.
Wow.
I never thought such a thing in my life. I wasn't really sure, Kobe, that I liked lawyers. I hadn't met your mom yet. But it was such a compelling urge. It was just something that I could not shake no matter what. I talked to my dad, who had told me there was nothing I couldn't do. The only thing that stood in the way was my lack of imagination. And I call him up and I say, "Daddy, I think I want to go to law school." He said, here's this litany. Don't you have 3 jobs? Yes, sir. And aren't you raising 2 nephews? Yes, sir. And didn't you just pay like 1 payment on that little house? Yes, sir. And don't you have a note on that old used Jeep? Yes, sir. And I bet you don't have $200 in the bank. You're absolutely right. And when he said to me, "I think you've lost your mind," I said, "Well, you're not the man who raised me."
Wow.
So I got in. Miraculously.
And by the way, what age are you at this point?
So I actually started when I was 46.
Okay.
But I turned 47 in October.
Wow.
So I was a mature student, and I thought that I would really stand out that way, but it's not so unusual, particularly for women, to go later. They put off their dreams until their children are grown, and men tend to get all theirs up front.
Yeah.
But I was clearly in the minority, but there were several people. I wasn't great at the time. I was coloring and stuff. But, several people my age and even older. So it was quite a challenge. But because of those factors that I just mentioned, I'd gone to Columbia with one of my nephews. Started high school the day I started law school. And we took my grandmother, his great-grandmother. We literally had the rocker on top of that Jeep.
Literally. Oh, nice.
So we started school, and I graduated in 2.5 years, not because I'm brighter than anybody, but because every time there were classes, I was taking them. I couldn't go backpacking in Europe. I couldn't go work in my dad's law firm. I needed to be in school. So Maymester Summer School, did it in 2.5 years, and came back to Conway. So at that point, my nephew was a rising senior. And the question was, do I come here or do I stay in Columbia for him? And, I prayed, I talked to people, and I just decided that the decision would be based on where I first got a job. So my first job was as a prosecutor with the 15th Judicial Solicitor's Office. And it was really interesting work. I stayed there just a few years, and I went to work for the Department of Social Services. And I thought, well, maybe this is the full circle I was thinking about. I had been an employee. I'd worked in child protective services, adoptions, and foster care for the most part. And this was an opportunity for the finalization of some of the work that goes on in the agency. Worked there a few years. Found that it was really difficult to please three bosses. One boss was the county director, another boss was general counsel at DSS in Columbia, and the third boss was chief judge of the family court. And it seemed to me that what one wanted, the other despised.
Gosh.
And I'm trying to sort of balance things. So I worked for the city of Conway after that. No, that's not true. I worked as a public defender.
Oh, okay.
Now, that was interesting work.
So you were a prosecutor, then you go to a public defender.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, and that's not unusual.
Right.
Most prosecutors, once they're no longer working in that agency, actually do defense work.
Okay.
And what better training ground than to understand how you prosecute somebody successfully than to use those same skills to defend them.
You go from playing offense to defense.
Absolutely.
I got you. All right.
Absolutely. Really, really loved my work, but I had an offer that had some finances attached to it that was really attractive. So went to work for the city. I was a deputy administrator for a number of years until the recession. And at that point, when my job no longer existed, I went into private practice for a while. So it's kind of hard to put all the pieces together, but I think where we're going with all this is how I got to be mayor. Is that what we want to know? Once I wasn't working for the city anymore, I was free to run for city council again. And I did, first chance, and I won again. So I served that full term. And I made a decision that I saw myself as being as prepared as anyone, as experienced as anyone, certainly loving my city as much as anyone. I talked to a person who would become my campaign manager, and he was trying to help me vet myself. And he asked me to talk about how I felt about the city of Conway. And what I said was, there in empty storefronts, we had these posters with a photograph, and these different people would say, "I am Conway." And I told him that as I saw those signs, I couldn't imagine anybody who was more Conway than me. So our theme was, vote for Barbara, she's Conway.
Okay, all right, I like it. Yeah, I love it.
I was successful the first time I ran. To my surprise, I have to say, one has to wonder. I mean, you must think that there is some slight chance for your success before you put yourself out there. But I don't know that I really measured that at all. Or, at the end, I thought, this is something I really shouldn't have done. I think I was.
What was I?
I'm pulling my hair out before I got so little now. But as it turns out, there was some trust shown in me, and I was elected. So that was in 2016. So since 2017,
you've been doing it,
mayor of Conway.
That's so
Since
cool.
2016, I believe. I'm confused. Since 2016.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. And you sound like the kind of person that you don't let fear hold you back. If you feel like you want to try something, it sounds like you go and do it.
Yeah, and I'm as squeamish as anybody. Before I went on the 5-day mountain hike that Kobe just finished, I was afraid to go in my backyard after dark, and I did identify all the reasons why not to do something. But I think that inner push came from my dad, and that message that was, you don't get anywhere until you try. You never know what you can do until you give it a shot. And with that kind of advice, you find yourself putting your foot in the water, whether you really know what to do after that or not. So speaking of foot in the water, one of the things that I'm really proud of is I learned to swim when I was 60 years old.
Whoa! I'm going to give you a little handle on that one. That's awesome.
That's important.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
My excuse was that when I was a girl, there wasn't a pool that I could get in. My parents didn't own one. I couldn't get inside a public pool. And by the time I think the first real opportunity I had was when I was at USC. And I walked into that pool a few times, but my friends who were so easy and who knew how to swim wanted to play too much. And I just wasn't hearing it. It took me a lot of years. My late husband had come home and said that he'd signed up for a course. And I said, well, you're not going without me.
Okay.
So I went in and here we are.
Well, so when you're 60 years old, learning how to swim, was there ever a point where you're like, oh man, like people are gonna, be looking at me like, what is she doing out here? I mean, is that coming into your mind at that point?
And worse than that, not only are they looking, they're saying that I can't do anything, that I'm afraid to try. So one of the things that happened there was, first of all, it was a very small class. It was in the dead of winter. I think we started in January for 6 weeks on Saturdays. And I've always been okay with just putting my head underwater. It's just like, what do you do after that? Right. For me, it's like, I weigh this much, and I don't think the water is going to hold me up. So I found myself following instructions, and I'd learned to float, and I'd just kick myself across that pool at about 3 or 4 feet of water, and I was just so proud. And then came the day that we needed to learn to swim on our backs. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Right.
I mean, just imagine abandoning all control and lying back in this water. Well, one of the ladies in my class, I believe there were 5 of us, one of the ladies in my class walked up to me and she said, Miss Barbara, here's how you do it. She said, you just close your eyes and you take a deep breath and you just lie back in the arms of Jesus. And I said, why did you say that to me? Now I've got to do it. Now I've got to do it. I'm Christian and I'm a believer, and I didn't have any choice at that time. What kind of faith do I have?
Exactly.
So I timidly took that breath and laid back on my back, and I didn't go down. And my head, and I could breathe because my head's above water. Yeah. It was the most thrilling feeling I think I'd ever had in my life. It was just really top notch.
Hey, you're never too late to start. And you got a couple of experiences with that. I mean, here you are, 47 years old. You say you go and get your law degree. I mean, that's really cool. And I think there's a lesson in there for everybody. You get people who I've almost marveled over time. Learn something new, try something different, right?
Absolutely. So because leaving my seat on council was so public, and me going to school, first of all, that meant that I had to graduate and I had to pass the bar, otherwise I couldn't come back home. Oh. But one of the nicest letters I received was from a woman who I so wish I could identify by name. I wish I could find her. But she wrote to me and said that she'd read about me going to law school that late in life and that she had put off getting her GED. But because I went to law school, she had signed up to get her GED.
Wow.
And there's just nothing that will make a soul feel better than to think that they have somehow, even accidentally, inspired somebody else to do a great thing.
Oh, man, that is awesome.
Yes.
Amazing story.
If she's out there somewhere, please call me.
That's right. Yeah, let's get that for sure. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about that perseverance that led you to where you were, because a common theme throughout your life is trying things that maybe some people would be scared to try. You talked about there were 3 seats open and you tried one of those seats and led the ticket, which is awesome. You talked about going to law school when some people might have said, well, that's way past me at this point. Talked about learning to swim at 60. I mean, I'm hearing a common theme here, aren't you guys? A lot of people be scared to fail, but you push through. Tell us the internal fortitude. What leads you to being like you are?
It's really hard to describe, except that I've always known, I've understood that none of us really reaches our optimal place. But there is a place, and then we have to try something to get there. I grew up with actually nothing being given to me. I had to earn it. I I worked since I was 13 years old because I wanted my clothes to look like my friends' clothes. I just have always known that if it's to be done, then it's mine to do. It might have something to do with me being the eldest child. I'm not sure. I know that's where I got some of my leadership from.
Definitely plays a role.
They were several years younger, and oftentimes my mom worked at a factory at the beach, often second and third shifts. My dad worked whenever anything happened on Atlantic Beach or in Bucksport. Early on, he wasn't even allowed to police in some communities.
Oh, wow.
But at any rate, I was the eldest and had the responsibility of taking care of my siblings and telling them what to do, which was the fun part.
Right.
And, I had some authority to even punish them if they didn't do what I said do. Well,
okay.
The fateful day came. I must have been 15-ish, and those little jokers not only had banded together, but they had grown quite a bit.
We're talking size-wise?
Yeah. And there were 4 of them. So they literally tied me up with a rope about an inch in diameter. And, I mean, literally tied me. And there was a new axe handle my dad had bought. He hadn't put the axe head into it yet.
Okay.
But, one of them hit me over the head with that axe handle. And I don't know if you remember cartoons where when you get hit over the head, you see stars.
Or whatever.
You see stars. Unreal. And it was that day that I decided maybe my leadership style isn't working so well.
I was thinking about like the cartoon where the goes like the little bump comes out here.
I'm sure I had a problem.
Man.
But this is great though because like this is when you realize like early on you're like maybe my authoritarian style might have to be adjusted.
It works fine for mom and dad, but it's not working for me. They're not here, so. I decided it may be time for us to discuss things, and maybe I should hear them out.
Is this while you're tied up that you're having this epiphany?
I think it happened pretty quickly. I'm not sure while I was still tied up. And I don't remember how I got untied, to tell you the truth. But at any rate...
It involved a nail file.
But that changed me. It seriously did. And I came to understand that the leader doesn't know everything necessarily. Sometimes they do, but not necessarily. The leader isn't always right.
Yeah.
The leader needs to listen and consider other people. The leader should work as an advocate for other people. The leader is the least of us all. The leader is the servant. First time I read a book on servant leadership, I thought everybody knew that. That is exactly what it's all about. I thought when I ran for city council, for example, I thought about, so why do I think I can do this work? You know, the election and getting people to vote for you is one piece, but the bigger piece is I don't want to be elected if I can't do it. And I thought back to why I thought I was good for that, and I remembered that I'd been on student council.
Okay.
Not in college. I had been on student council in high school.
Okay, all right.
And I said, it can't be but so different. And I was right. It's exactly the same thing. The measures are larger. The numbers are bigger.
The interests are a little different. It's not about lunch anymore, right?
Absolutely. Right. We don't want any more bologna at lunch.
If there's one more bologna.
The impact of what we decide is a little broader.
Yeah.
But it is the same thing. You work with people. You hear each other out.
Yep.
You compare your own experiences, and you talk about the bottom line, what's best for everybody. And there is usually a middle ground, that place that doesn't favor one group over another, but is good for all of our constituents, all of our voters, all of our residents. And so you have to just find something in you that makes you believe in you.
Yeah.
And that's probably the hardest part, because I don't always believe in me. Sometimes it does have to be external. Sometimes I need somebody to say, Barbara, you're all right.
Yeah,
you can do this. You can do this. So it's not necessarily that I have all of that deep within that's just saying to me, you can be the mayor of the town. You can be a lawyer. You can whatever. You can swim.
Yeah.
But with a little coaxing and a little encouragement and a little prayer, I usually pull it off.
That's an amazing thing. I will tell you, and I believe a lot in what you just said. I tell my employees where I'm the general manager, it's I feel like I hopefully inspire them a lot of times, but they inspire me when I go in. On a day-to-day basis, when I'm having a tough day, one of them can look and smile and give me a hello, and that's enough to motivate me to keep going. So, and I think that's what people have to remember. Being a good leader is, leading people, inspiring people, but those people need to remember they inspire the leader. So that's very cool. I want to talk a little bit about motivation, and this can just be kind of like defining your style. But I believe that all great leaders, there's basically 4 kind of leadership types in my mind, and they all at the end of the day have to motivate, right? Like this is about motivating people to do things that feel good about doing the things they're going to do. So you have the authoritarian style. You have
the kind I had when I was
your style that got you hit over the head with an axe. That might not have been your sweet spot. Then you have the planner. They're just they got a plan for everything. And you got the rah-rah. I kind of call them like the pep rally person. And then of course you got the person who leads with compassion. Mm-hmm. And I think you can lead with any of these, but at the end of the day you have to motivate and you have to communicate. You said those. Which style do you think you are now?
I think I'm a combination. Mm-hmm. I'm certainly the cheerleader style.
Yeah.
I put a lot of energy into praising good work, to repeating all those compliments I get when I walk around. Mm-hmm. Oh, Mayor, you're doing such a good job. I love downtown. I love the jack-o'-lanterns in the trees. Well, thank you so much. I love them too. But it was every day I say to people all the time. Every day I say at least once, man, I wish that was my idea. Mm-hmm. But it was not. So I'm the kind of leader who recognizes that we have to free people up to do what they do best.
Yes.
You can't be a micromanager and expect good out of your employees. They will be so stuck they don't know what to do. Yeah. But to say that and to listen to them and to understand what their skills are. We have people in departments doing one kind of work. We have a man who I believe worked in public works, and somehow or other he brought his math skills to the table, and now he works in our finance department.
So smart.
And he has saved us a lot of money. So we're trying to be open. I'm trying to be open to seeing what the possibilities are and to try to promote from within and to try to promote with what we've got. Promote people to promote them emotionally, promote them financially, promote them just in terms of positions that they hold. I think it's really important to first free people up, to praise them, I mean like nonstop. Mm-hmm. And when you have an opportunity that you have to sort of sit down and have the tough conversation, to do that in a gentle way, because everybody makes mistakes. And we want to certainly not lose a good employee because they've made a single mistake. And we want to treat that mistake like a commonplace thing in a human life, so that they don't despair, they don't lose their oomph. Feel like they don't belong anymore, they aren't loved anymore. We just have to fire people up and let them go.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we have to fire people.
I know. I was waiting for this. Like, wait, what's going on here? We just got to fire people.
Hey, I'll use that at my next meeting. I'm going to say, today I'm going to fire you guys up. Kind of like man, I'm learning some stuff today. So let's go back as we get towards the back end of this. And believe me, I think I speak for all of us. We can listen to you all day. There's no question about it. We need a part 2. Could you be on for a part 2 at some point with us? Oh, that sounds really good. But I want to go back to those Conway decorations you talk about. We talked about those pumpkins in the trees, those jack-o'-lanterns. That's so popular. And I think we all talk about this. We literally behind the scenes say, it's fun to drive through Conway.
It is.
When you get into Halloween, you get to Christmas time. Yeah. Tell me, like, who's behind that? I know you said some people come up with ideas, but somebody at the end of the day has to say, let's do this, let's embrace it, let's make it fun. Tell me about that process.
So the process starts with our staff. We have some of the best employees ever. I can't imagine having anybody better. People who don't need to climb out of the box, you know, that thing we speak of all the time, because they never knew there was a box. They're creative, they're bright, they use their travel to pick up ideas from other places, and it's okay to steal ideas from other cities. If somebody's done something well, follow their lead.
Right.
Absolutely.
100%.
We don't have to invent it. But I'd be hard-pressed to say exactly who came up with what part of some of that decoration piece, particularly for Halloween. I've got an idea, but I don't want to discredit anybody else. So I won't say a name, but I'll just say that it's our staff for certain. So it started with jack-o'-lanterns in the trees. I was going to take like a 3-day staycation, and I was just going to North Myrtle Beach. I mean, drive.
It's a lovely place.
The administrator said, well, Mayor, you need to come through downtown. And I said, no, I live in North Conway. I said, I'll just take Country Club and go out that way. He said, Mayor, I need you to come through downtown. And I said, so, Adam, that just adds, 10 minutes to my drive. Are you serious? Mayor, please just drive through downtown. Well, we drove through downtown. I could see them like a block away, and I cried. But what they do for me is they made me happy. They're whimsical, they're fun, they're childlike. They just sort of add an element of ease to what can be a very tough day for a lot of people.
Oh, boy.
And that is what I've heard from most of the people who've responded to them, that they make me smile. They just make me feel free and youthful again. So with such an overwhelming positive response from the jack-o'-lanterns, they just grew from there. So now there's a witch's alley, and there's a zombie walk, and there are contests, and there are all kinds of things going on. And I think it's going to grow.
Yeah.
I think we're just beginning. There are those people who don't favor Halloween because of its beginnings. Yeah. But most of us see it as just a fun time, a child-oriented time. And rather than it attracting demons to our area, what I've seen walking around were families with children taking pictures and children just smiling and having the best time of their lives. And it hasn't hurt our downtown merchants at all either. I understand the receipts are just coming in, and you couldn't get a park downtown, couldn't find one anywhere, can't get a seat in a restaurant, and that was exactly the impetus behind making the small investment to turn us into enough that we could call ourselves Halloween, South Carolina.
Makes perfect sense to me. And look, if something brings smiles to faces, there's nothing wrong with that. And also probably some extra tax dollars in and stuff too. That's not so bad, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I've learned how important that is.
Tourism money, man. I love that.
Yes.
Tell me, as we wrap up here, what do you think is something that you want the viewers to know is important to you going forward?
This was spoken of earlier. What's really important to us is that our youth, our students, both high school and college, find a way to remain in our area. There is just a wealth of intellect, of hope and promise, and the way for any community to thrive and grow healthily is to have those kinds of people around. We need you to stay in Horry County, or certainly in the Waccamaw region, as Kobe spoke of.
I just want to say amen, man. I love what you're saying.
That is the biggest thing. So we work really hard to attract the kind of industry that has good pay, solid pay, good benefits, so that more of Coastal Carolina and Horry Georgetown Tech and Miller Mott graduates will decide to do their work right here. I want to see you in 10 years with a stroller and a husband and coming downtown, just enjoying the sights. That is just so vital to our continued success, and certainly vital to our getting any better than we are right now.
Man, that's a beautiful story. And so appropriate that we're sitting here at Coastal Carolina University having that discussion. So it's very powerful. Mayor Blain-Bellamy, Barbara, as I can now call you, it's been amazing having you on the show. I think that's a lesson we can all learn as leaders in this industry and learn that anybody can be a leader. So thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You've been amazing. And for those of you guys who are listening, hopefully you took some good words from today. I am Rob Clemens. This has been Teal Talk. Kobe, Danielle, appreciate you guys. And again, another thanks to Mayor Bellamy.
Thank you very
Blain-Bellamy.
Go Shants.
All right, go Shants.
Go Shants.
We'll see you guys.